Take me back to the life that we once knew, when the walls weren't closing in like they are now. 'Cause it's been too many years since California. I wish I could get there, I don't know how. See, one day I'm gonna reach ya, take a plane for many miles. We pretend that time didn't pass us by when we're on Mulholland Drive. I know it won't be long before we're done, gotta be patient for a while. Someday we'll look at stars in the same sky, when I'm on the other side.
Hello everybody and welcome into the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series live from World Wide Technology Raceway, also known as Gateway. We got a good one in store for you here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Drivers have gotten qualified complete, got gridded up, and getting ready to get this thing going. So without further ado, let's take a look at your starting grid here tonight. Taking the pole is going to be Austin Fitzgerald for Dynamic Autosports. Rolling off on his outside is going to be Tyler Marble. Back in the third position, we'll start Tracy Powers with Alan Pajari to his outside in fourth. Row 3 going to be Tracy Powers Row 3 is going to be Jacob Musso and Jeff Marble, with row 4 being Jeff Shutt and Thomas O'Hara. Michael Mueller starts in 9th, and it's Westford Jr. rounding out your top 10. Ryan Shearer will start back in 11th, and it's Johnny McCulchuk for No Excuses Racing on the outside of row 12. Back at 13, Sean Kaltenbach, Brian Conklin in 14th, Jared Bundy and Brandon Saylor in row 8 with Kyle Oakley and Andrew Russo in row 9. Ty Iopolito, Glenn Grigsby round out your top 20. Caleb Patton and Cody Matthews in row 11 with Kenneth Bartholomew and Nick Sitchie in row number 12. Row 13, Jake Hickson and Scott Glasso with Danny Gutierrez and Mark Zabak in row 14. Christopher Hall in 29th. Jeffrey Souza 30th. Quentin Clark 31st. And he rounds out your field tonight. Looking at a breakdown of your race info here at Gateway. It is the Gateway 150 here in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. 120 laps of scheduled distance, 100% fuel, 4 sets of tires, no fast repair, open setups, and 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Track length 1.25 miles here at Gateway. A little bit more banking in 1 and 2, I believe, than there is in 3 and 4, but as you can see on the track map right there, 3 and 4, a much wider radius turn than 1 and 2. Weather outside 86 degrees, 36% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 8 miles an hour. With that gets things wrapped up, gets us down track side where these guys are going to take one more pace lap right here, and that will mean we are getting ready to go green flag racing. So we'll take you through right on board here relatively soon off the start, but I think, actually, we'll go to the cockpit view. They already worked their way through 1 and 2, but notice, and I think, actually, believe it or not, on Sunday, Larry put it best during the Fox broadcast. It's basically a short track with long straightaways. Now, the speeds here are going to be pretty high, especially in these next gens. These cars can carry quite a bit of speed, and then, of course, making more downforce than the old Cup cars, so can get a little faster around these turns, but that also means that tire management is going to be a big key, and I think you're going to see guys get a little bit loose at different points in the run on exit of these corners. 1 and 2 going to run completely different from 3 and 4, and the big question, how many grooves of racing will we see here tonight? Will we have a new winner, or will we get a repeat? Here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air. We're racing at Gateway. Good restart initially for your leader, Austin Fitzgerald. He will lead them all down into turn number 1. Everybody going to try to shuffle in line, but a lot of them still going to stay 2 by 2 through the first set of corners. Onto the back stretch they go now. This is where you kind of want to start to find an area to settle in line, and if you can't, this is where you start to fall positions if you are not the preferred lane. Question is going to be, what is that preferred lane here? Diving down into 3 and 4. The outside has more momentum on exit, but the inside's the shorter way around. And it looks like, so far from what we've seen, that inside's going to be the preferred groove, at least early here. So everybody continues to shuffle positions, but it was Austin Fitzgerald who will be scored as your lap 1 leader. And Fitzgerald, we're used to seeing him bring a good long-run car, so it's good to see the qualifying effort and the short-run speed the 74's got so far here tonight. But 120 laps, again, that will break down to the full 150 miles that we are set to run here tonight. Expecting at least 1 pit stop. Whether or not we get 2, that's where things get a little bit tricky, and we're not 100% sure, but as we get almost every week, courtesy of No Excuses Racing driver Johnny McCulchuk lets us know a little bit of what the general pit strategy is looking like for the week, and says it should be pretty interesting. They can go 75 laps on fuel, but if there's a yellow with 70 laps to go, it's where things could get a little bit interesting. Now, we could see some 2 stops or maybe 1 stop, again, depending on if this thing goes green and how much these guys wear out tires, but caution at any point can certainly throw things for a loop, especially if it's right around that window where it could be, can you make it to the end? Maybe if you save, but got to worry about if you have enough tire to make it as well. So definitely going to be a lot of strategy play that comes into this race as we go through it. Well, I'll tell you what, last week, certainly heartbreak for two guys that come to mind. And one of them was the one that looked like he was going to get the win, had a dominant performance going. And that is Jared Bundy in the 3 car. Already had a win earlier this season, got the job done at Texas Motor Speedway on strategy. But man, oh man, last week he had a car that looked like it was going to be something that could win the race. Not just win it, but dominate it. Unfortunately, though, not the case so far here tonight as he sits back in that 12th position. But he is up 3 from where he started, so got to stay optimistic for sure. But I think the point is that Jared Bundy felt like last week obviously was one that got stolen from him, which it did as he got involved in that wreck that was sparked by a couple of lap cars. And so we'll see if Jared Bundy can maybe make a recovery here tonight. He is one of the drivers that is carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. There's Jared in the real-life cockpit, and there's the onboard view for the virtual cockpit. Now let's take a ride on board here actually for the full lap and show you a little bit of what Gateway looks like from a driver's perspective. Slow acceleration, making sure the car's straight, the tires are locked up, or excuse me, I guess I should say connected to the racetrack. And then big braking zone down into turn 1. Actually, you shift twice. I believe that's the most you shift on any track that we go to in the season that is an oval track. Of course, road courses don't count. And then pedal back down on the back stretch. This will be the faster of the sets of corners. As you go into turn 3, you can arc it out a lot more, or you can hug the rumble strip there. And you see that it looks like Jared Bundy is going with a little bit of that diamond approach. Get it back down towards the bottom on exit, and then back on the throttle he goes. Looking at the dashboard speeds there in the bottom right. This is the top speed they'll get up to here, getting into turn 1, almost 170 miles an hour. And then you see well under 100 miles an hour through turn 1 and 2. So definitely an interesting track. And real life brakes can be a concern here, but not in the sim. Everybody able to use as much brake as they want without any trouble. But I am curious to actually look at the right front, or rather the left front here of Austin Fitzgerald as he gets into turn number 1. Let's see if he's got any rotors glowing here. I know at some of the smaller tracks we go to, you'd be able to tell what kind of setups these guys had based off which brake rotor was glowing more. And definitely don't see much, if any, so far for Austin Fitzgerald. But the car seems to be handling pretty good for both him and Tyler Marble, who sits in second right now in that 48 machine. The driver out of Buffalo, New York. Him and his teammate, Jeff Marble, along with Brian Conklin and Brandon Saylor. What a season they're trying to put together. But man, Tyler, similar to Jared Bundy, but not just last week. Kept out tried the last 3 weeks. Just a lot of bad luck. He's been doing everything right. Just has not gotten a little bit of luck portion that you need for all these races to survive to the end. He's gotten himself not necessarily a couple DNFs, but certainly a couple accidents that have taken him out of contention. So we go a bit further back. Here's Michael Mueller in 6th place. The 99 machine, just a couple spots in front of him. Tracy Powers in 4th. And Alan Pajari rolling up to 3rd. Last time we saw the 34 with the shot, a couple times this season, but the last actual win for Alan Pajari came last season early on at Auto Club, so still looking to see if he can break out of the drought here. By the way, Quentin Clark, not sure if he had a technical issue here or an on-track issue, but the 96 has already fallen 5 laps down. Gotta think that was some sort of technical issue, as Quentin Clark right now is the last car running on the lead lap. And he sits about half a track length behind the leader right now. So he could be in danger of going a lap down here pretty soon if we don't see a caution. There's Christopher Hall in 29th. Caleb Patton, how about this? One of the rookies making his first start of the season. Good looking scheme. Sim Seats 32 car. And he's going to have to get used to a couple things. I'll tell you what, as a rookie, this is certainly a tough track to pick as your first one, but it'll be a good learning experience for Caleb. And we'll see if he can maybe start running closer to the front as we get towards the end of the season. I don't think he'll be eligible for the playoffs, though, as again, you have to make a certain amount of races in a season, and I think we're past that threshold. The 73 of Kenneth Bartholomew, good looking paint scheme, as always, with the Gerber collision and glass. And now he's going to get a move made on him by the 16 of Jake Hickson. That's rookie on rookie action right there. Hickson with 2 wins on the season. Came close to getting his 3rd. Couldn't quite make it happen. Danny Gutierrez in 23rd. And he might lose that position as well. Nick Sitchie. Good to see him in the field here tonight in the 13 car. You can see that he's taken, it's almost like that groove in 1 and 2 is starting to widen out here early. Not sure how the leaders are running it, but certainly seems like the guys that are running towards the middle and further back portions of the field are moving that groove higher and higher up the racetrack. And Fitzgerald that time himself, he moved up, looked like half a lane, maybe through 1 and 2, but whatever he's doing, it's working. He's got the gap up to 0.7 of a second already on Tyler Marble with just 13 laps complete here at Gateway. And another thing that I want to look at here, if I can find it, was in terms of, so we haven't had anybody with issues so far. And I really haven't seen any handling issues at that. That was the big thing that I was expecting coming into this race. And you figure, you look at the weather, track temp, it's hot. I mean, it's well over 120 degrees at just about any track we go to. That's going to make the cars a handful. Yeah, almost 130. And so much less a track like this that relies so much on handling and the power ratio, the torque that these cars make off the corner when you downshifted twice, especially coming off of turn 2. You got to be really easy getting back into the throttle. But again, everybody doing a great job so far. And even with that track temp not changing much, as it is only 242 in the sim here, we'll have to see if everybody continues to keep these cars in line or if a couple people maybe start to struggle here. There were 70 laps on a tank of fuel. The big question is, are tires going to make it that long? And if they do, then can, of course, you make it all the way to 75. You don't need to make it that far, of course. I mean, figure you can go 70 laps, but in reality, the race is only 120. So if you can make it to 60, good to make it a one stop. Now, I think if you're only going to go with that strategy, you got to take 4 tires. If for some reason we get a couple cautions, swings the strategy a different way, maybe that's when you see a couple guys throw 2 tires into the mix. But for now, make sure you play it safe. Don't want to do anything that could get you into trouble here as this race goes on. Well, we looked at Jared so far for the driver cams. Let's take a look at a couple others besides Bundy's here, as Jeff Marble, who currently sits up in the 4th position. He's been making his way up the field a couple spots since the start of the race, as he sits positive 2. So Jeff Marble with a great season so far that he's having. Remember, made it to the Final Four last season, looking to do a repeat performance this season, but of course would like to maybe change the result at the end and take home that championship. We'll see if it's able to happen. Back further in the field, for No Excuses Racing right now, Johnny Mikulchuk sits in that 17th position. And right now that car doesn't look like it's handling too bad for him, but I did see his head shaking a couple times on the driver cam. I think that means that maybe the car isn't quite handling the way he would like and just not catching all of it. Let's hop on board with him here for a set of corners. And watch the wheel here off the exit of turn 2. Very smooth that time. You see how it's almost like a little transition where really quickly there it almost goes a little bit uphill and then flattens out. And that just makes it even trickier to get on the throttle, and you got to make sure the car is straight because it's even slightly sideways. You get a little bit of tire spin, it's really easy to get looped around here, and if you get down in the grass, it's not necessarily going to be a caution, so you got to keep, I think you got to, at least for the first half of this race, just focus on keeping the car clean and then start to advance from there. Jeff Shutt making sure he does that as he still runs inside the top 10, but falls a position to Jacob Musso in the 95. By the way, Jacob Musso, what a performance he's having so far here tonight, as he's got himself, or had himself rather, a top 5 qualifying effort and has been able to maintain in the top 10 since. And then a couple more driver cams left, and that leaves us with Tyler Marble, who we talked about earlier, but there's the driver cam. And Tyler, if you remember last week, oh man, big moment. I know we talked about it earlier, but getting in that incident, and that was, I believe, either his second or third week in a row of getting in a wreck, as, ooh, caution is out here. We got trouble with, is it Jared Bundy or is it Brandon Saylor? I can't tell. And we got one on the grass. That's the 38 of Christopher Hall. But Jared Bundy, ooh, yikes. There's damage there to the left front for the 3 car. So that answers the question of who's involved in the yikes. That goes all the way back on the left side to the left rear. And while aero isn't maybe completely critical at this track, the straightaways are still long enough, and especially in 3 and 4, where you need a little bit of aero to have enough downforce to compete with everybody else. And I don't know how well that car is going to handle now after he gets it fixed up, as, again, no fast repairs here in the FastTrack Cup Series. So SWM Motorsports with some trouble early here for Jared Bundy. Let's go back and see how it happened. As he's getting together with one of the rookies there. That's Ty Ippolito. What led to this? As that almost, I tell you what, that almost looks exactly like the Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch incident Sunday, but I don't think it was quite the same circumstances. But here you go. Ty Ippolito on the inside. Jared Bundy is going to go to arc it down in the corner as well. And I just think Ty just got in the corner too hot there, and the car just really didn't rotate the way he maybe thought it was. You know, granted, maybe Ty was thinking that Bundy was going to be further up the racetrack, but I mean, he's in his lane. He's given the 19 plenty of room, and that's a big hit into the outside safer barrier for Bundy. Let's go back and watch this from a little bit of a different view here. This is TV3, and not the best transition, so we'll go to TV1 right here. Watch as they get into the corner here. So Jared, he's got to turn in here at a certain point, and you know, maybe what part of it was too was that maybe the 19 was going to turn in a little bit later, but it did look like there was still some room to go down, and I just kind of feel like maybe Ty didn't quite give Bundy as much room as he would have liked to, and again, that's a big hit. You see all four tires briefly off the ground there for the 3. Let's take a couple more angles. This is the cockpit view let's go to Ty Ippolito actually here, and this might tell us a little bit more in terms of how much wheel he was putting into that car and whether or not he was trying to turn down a little more or if he just felt like this was the groove he wanted to run. No, I think he just gets in there a little hot. I really do. And he saves it. Good news for him, but again, bad news if you're a Jared Bundy fan because he got the bad end of the stick on this one. There's a look from TV2. And close call for a couple of drivers, especially Nick Sitchy right there at the end. Then how's Christopher Hall get in the grass here? Oh, he goes for a spin as he gets into the corner, just trying to check up for all this. But no harm, no foul for him, as it'll give him an incident point, but that's about the extent of it. And then I want to get one more angle of this here from the rear chase view to see if this shows any more. Watch the 19 here as they get into the corner. Look at all the room he's got down there. Still maybe another lane. Now, granted, it might not be the preferred line as you see everybody behind him running about where Ty Ippolito is running, but just one of those things where when you make that move, you got to kind of expect, at least this early in the race, that the guy on the outside is expecting you to give him plenty of room. And, you know, Bundy felt like he didn't want to just simply give it up. So he went for it, and unfortunately, that's the finishing result. All right, so as we go back live up front, Wes Hurd Jr., how about that being scored as your leader? Austin Fitzgerald second, Tyler Marble in third, Alan Pajari fourth, and Michael Mueller currently rounding out your top 5. Going to give SDK a quick refresh here. See if maybe that'll fix that little issue that we had on the scoring tower there that was showing Wes Hurd Jr. in the pits, as obviously he's not. He's out on track. So there you go. Problem solved. 22, going to be 23 laps complete as they cross the stripe this time around. And so we'll check up on Jared Bundy here in just a little bit to see if he's able to get that damage fixed up, get back out on the racetrack. And actually, we'll go back here just before we go green. Looks like he has. So the 3 seems to be patched up pretty good. Looks like that damage is certainly a lot better than it was. Still a little scuff on the left rear mostly. Maybe a little bit of damage on the left front, but I do think this car may have enough speed still to try to recover a little bit here. All right, 23, going to be 24 when we cross the line, so not even a third of the way through this race yet, but already a lot of action, and I think we've already seen who might be the early favorite with that 74 of Fitzgerald, but now you're throwing in a little bit of a wild card here with Wes Hurd Jr. He's got to win on the season as well. See if he can potentially capture number 2 here tonight, and it's all going to start with this restart right here. All right, pace car makes a left turn down to the pits. Off of turn 4, working back up into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. We're back racing at Gateway. Good start for Wes Hurd Jr., but a better start for Austin Fitzgerald, who's going to power around the outside, and he will get clear of that 12 before they even get to the exit of turn number 2. They race it out side by side behind everybody, looking for any real estate that they can get here. A lot of tracks, we say that you got to get everything you can on restarts, but it's especially important here at Gateway. It's just, it gets so tough to pass in traffic when it really kind of races like a one-groove racetrack here in the Sims. So on these restarts, when you got fresh tires and potentially you've got certain lanes getting bottled up, that's when you got to make these passes, especially if you're trapped on the outside. If you can't, so you get into trouble. And speaking of trouble, 3 wide in the middle of 1 and 2. Alan Pajari, what a pass for the 34. As he goes through the middle, there was nowhere else to go, so he chose a lane that didn't look favorable, and it worked out as he got by the 99 and the 12 in one corner. Looks like Jeff Marble, Michael Mueller dueling it out now just behind. Michael Mueller with the Toyota. I thought those guys used to be in the Mustangs. Not sure if that was a manufacturer switch or if might have just mixed up my cars, but Fitzgerald already out to almost a second lead over Tyler Marble now. During that last run, although it was short, we saw this gap stay pretty even for most of the run before Fitzgerald started to gap it a little bit as we got closer to when we had that first caution. So we'll have to see how Tyler Marble's able to rebound here after maybe not the best restart, but he does have himself back to second. Mueller still on the outside here of Jeff Marble, trying to keep the momentum up. The 15 slips. That gives the 99 a run, but it's not enough to make a move. So Jeff Marble now up 2 spots more. He started up to 4th. Westford Jr. still holding off in 6th. And I wonder if that 12 car didn't try some strategy there that got him in trouble. Either, I don't know, potentially 2 tires, no tires, whatever the deal was. I find it hard to believe that he would have done no tires, but certainly an option. Westford Jr., in fact, I want to go back real quick just so we can see here. This is Westford Jr. stop. Let's see what he takes here. Did he take 4 like everybody else did here? Or did he just potentially take 2? And I don't see either side of that car jacked up, so that answers that question. Westford Jr. decided to go with no tires on that first stop, and that's what's got him all the way back to the 7th spot now. But the good news is he would have that extra set late in the race if you were to need it. As remember, you only get 4 sets of tires. That includes the one that is on the car, so that gives you 3 sitting in the pits. And so with those 3 in the pits, save 1 now, get another caution some point halfway through this race, then you're going to have tires for, you figure, every just about 20 laps from that point on. So a little bit of a risky strategy call. We'll have to see if it pays off. Fitzgerald still hanging around 9/10 of a second. The gap for his lead, and then further back, we still got a lot of traffic back here from about 10th on back, starting with Jacob Musso, who right now is trying to get past Brian Conklin and Westford Jr. actually, more so the start of this train. Looking at the blimp cam, you can see just how tight things are getting there. Kyle Oakley, he's going to get split on the bottom here by Danny Gutierrez. Kyle Oakley was the one driver cam we hadn't got to yet. Just waiting for things to calm down, but I think this is a better view here is when he's in the middle of all the chaos. Watch Oakley here as he gets down into turn number 1. Go up a spot. There's Kyle Oakley. And on the outside, hits the 2 downshifts. He's stuck on that outside, so he's got to wait a little bit later to get on the throttle, make sure that car is nice and straight off the slight banking here at Gateway. And caution is back out. Trouble for Glenn Grigsby. Oh, yikes. We got one in the wall down low. That's Kenneth Bartholomew. And the Gerber collision and glass Dark Horse Mustang is all banged up. Glenn Grigsby, he's got major rear end damage. I think oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever seen a next gen beat up that bad in the back. My goodness. So Bartholomew's in it. Jared Bundy, that's going to be a break for him, I believe. Christopher Hall, did he get damage? Yes, he did. Major damage. Well, those pieces might kind of match up for the 38 and the 64 of who hit who, as that will be race-ending damage for the 38 for sure, potentially for the 64 as well. That car is destroyed. Let's go back, see what happens here. Who gets loose first here? Does it start up front? There's Bartholomew. Oh, he's going to get loose. Does he overcorrect? No, he doesn't here. There was 2 separate incidents that went on right here. They kind of happened at the same exact time. So let's go up first. It's one with Glenn Grigsby and Nick Sitchie. And what a weird sequence here. So watch the 13. He's way up the racetrack here. In fact, we're just going to go to the onboard here for starters to figure out what goes wrong here for Nick Sitchie. As again, that's where this all starts. Watch, 13 gets in the corner, up the racetrack. Can't get the car to turn. Now he's in the outside wall. He's going to try to keep it up there. And he's doing a pretty good job at it, and it's just as they're, yeah, so it's not really on Nick Sitchy in the sense of he does get in the wall, but he keeps it up there. And then notice the 16 and the 64 here as they come off the corner. That's where trouble's going to strike here is Jake Hickson. Is he getting loose? Nope. Hickson gets off the corner pretty straight. Ooh, but then you see Glenn Grigsby starts coming up. The 16 starts coming down, and then looks like there was a little bit of netcode between them. But watch this. You can clearly see the 64 starting to come up and the 16 starting to come down. They meet in the middle, and this is where that first wreck's going to occur. Is Glenn Grigsby with a pretty big hit to the outside wall. Trying to slide by. Bam! There's a huge shot for Christopher Hall, who had nowhere to go. And then Kenneth Bartholomew, we saw the result, but what gets the 63 out of shape here? It seemed like he was okay. But then I think he just gets loose. I'll show the corner here as he gets on exit. Oh, no, he had a technical issue. That's what happened. Yeah, so the 74 had some sort of malfunction here. Watch as he gets in the turn here. Watch the wheel. It's just going to stay left. It's never going to go back right. Watch this. And he realizes it, so he gets on the brakes that he's got an issue with the wheel, but unfortunately just runs out of real estate. So that was just bad timing for Bartholomew. As if that would have happened to me a lap later under caution, he could have stopped it in time, but that'll give him damage that he'll have to go get repaired. And then for Christopher Hall, it was a little late that he ran into the accident here, so let's see what he saw. Sees the wreck ahead, stays in the throttle a little bit too long. That's just a little bit of a misjudgment there. I think Christopher should have just got out of the throttle there and got on the brakes, and I think he would have been fine, but nonetheless, tried to shoot the gap, and by the time he got there, that gap had it closed. Let's watch the 38 here. Watch this hit. Boom! Rips the front end off, breaks that right front suspension, and then that's what, again, ultimately gave all that damage to Glenn Grigsby. Just gonna have to get all of it repaired as well here. Look at one more view of this here for Christopher Hall. Slow it down for you here. So there goes the 64. Bam! All four tires off the ground for Glenn Grigsby. All right, so as we wrap up that wreck, there's the 38 still sitting in the pits with major damage as we go back towards the front, and it is Austin Fitzgerald still being scored as your leader. Tyler Marble in second with Jeff Marble back in third. Alan Pajari fourth, and Michael Mueller rounding out your top five. So now you wonder about strategy. Well, again, you can go 70 laps. So at this point, maybe if you were stretching it all the way, maybe you could get to, you know, say lap 100, lap 110, maybe if you get the 75 mark. But, I mean, that's still not enough to make it, so probably no point in stretching it that far. But what it does open the door up to is potentially some tire strategy. Now, again, I think if I'm a driver out there, I'm not trying any tire strategy at this track. I'm taking 4 and filling it up with fuel, but might be somebody there that either goes in early or goes in late, only takes 2, maybe takes none, and just see what kind of position you can maintain, whether that be just trying to get, you know, a good finish or potentially trying to get the win. All right, so here we go. Pace car makes a left turn for the third time here tonight as we wrap up our second caution. Back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at Gateway. Good restart. Field's going to come roaring down into turn 1. Again, they seem like they're getting a little bit more aggressive each time. Everybody getting a feel and wanting to venture a little bit more aggressive. Oh, man, Pachari almost turned around Tyler Marble. That was a huge moment between the 34 and the 48, but they're both going to be able to hold on to it. Tyler Marble looking to the inside. This is the first challenge that Fitzgerald's really going to have to fend off so far here tonight. And what can Fitzgerald do? Does he give that spot up? Looks like he's not going to have a choice here as the 48. Well, maybe not. The 74 able to roll enough momentum on that outside to not let him get clear. Fitzgerald dives it back deep into turn number 1 here. Through the downshifts they go. Very harsh on the engines. You got to make sure you don't accidentally miss one. And then as they come off the 2, Tyler still not quite able to get clear that time. Tyler Marble, he's got the preferred lane right now, but he knows it's early, so no point in rushing this battle and potentially getting yourself in trouble. He might try a couple things such as a slide job, but certainly doesn't want to get himself in a position where he either wrecks that race car or wrecks that race car on the outside of him. And so while these two continue to battle it out, what this could do is actually bring in Jeff Marble to this battle, as right now he sits third just in front of Alan Pajari and Michael Mueller. But Fitzgerald's got to be careful here. It looks like he is going to lose that spot to the 48, but he's got to be careful to not get 2 for 1 here. And he will be able to tuck in line behind the 48. So how about this? Tyler Marble, first time in the lead here tonight. And now Fitzgerald is going to be the cat chasing the mouse here, as we'll see if he can track down that 48 who he led, who was in front of so far up to this point. Single file now through about your top 10, but as we get closer to the 15s, late teens rather than 20s, that's where the side-by-side action kicks in. Thomas O'Hara alongside Kyle Oakley. Remember Thomas O'Hara, his last good run so far this season, or I'm not going to say good run, I'm going to say his last great run of the season was at the All-Star Open just a few weeks ago, and then the All-Star race he was able to build upon that. And so he's got a little bit of momentum still hanging over from that, but he would really like another top 5, top 3 finish, maybe again a win to get things locked in. But that is, looks like Johnny McCulchuk on his outside right now. He's looking to make some ground. Johnny with a little bit of a different paint scheme than we're used to seeing, but a good looking one at that. Is, I think he got maybe a new sponsor on there. It looks like that TS window. Whatever it is, it's a beautiful looking car for Johnny McCulchuk, who leads almost the rest of the single file battling. And then you've got Scott Glasso, who's got some damage of his own. Oh, did he? Uh-oh. Is that trouble for the 4 here? He gets off the wall. Saw a little tire smoke. At first I thought it might have been engine smoke, but that was just him getting loose and laying down his own tire tracks. And now Jeffrey Souza, after getting a little bit of damage from that, is going to dive to the inside and get around. But saw the 96 there, front end's a little bit caved in. And then for the 4, Scott Glasso, more than just the front end there, the right front especially, has taken quite a beating up to this point. Back up front we go. Tyler Marble's still leading, but man, oh man, it looks like him and Austin Fitzgerald, we're getting really close. But now Jeff Marble's going to take a peek here to the inside in 3. Got to try to slide up to get clear there. Well, I say that, you may not have to, because from what we saw with Tyler Marble there, he just stayed patient, worked the bottom for a couple laps, and eventually it prevails. And Jeff Marble's not even going to have to wait that long here, as the tires have gotten a little bit of wear on him now. And just like that, the bottom has really become the most preferred lane yet again. Jeff using up all the racetrack he needs to, maybe washing that 74 up a little bit, as well as, oh, Fitzgerald going to make slight contact with the outside wall. Now he'll get passed by his teammate here, Alan Pajari. And man, Fitzgerald, I think he just got out of a rhythm there. He needs to settle down and try to get back into it here. But it's so easy to do at any of these, really rhythm-based racetracks, such as a Gateway, a Bristol, a Martinsville, where you get in that zone as a driver. You're putting down lap after lap, consistent. You're hitting the throttles at the same point, braking at the same points, and then something changes. In this case for Fitzgerald, it was him losing the lead to Tyler Marble, and you just start scrambling, and sometimes you just got to settle down a little bit, get back in a zone, and get back to it. We do have one car here. Not sure if they're coming out of the pits or if they had trouble. Couldn't tell exactly who it is either here. That's Glenn Grigsby. As well, whether he was coming out or not, looks like he is going back down the pits now. So more unfortunate news for Glenn Grigsby, who was involved in that last accident. It does look like they were able to get the rear bumper taped back on, but right now he is in a pretty bad situation, as he's going to fall, looks like multiple laps down. He might already be multiple laps down. So the 64 at this point just looking to salvage points for the rest of the night, as we start to see a little bit of separation. But it is Team Mobile iRacing 1-2 with Dynamic Autosports in 3 and 4, along with 6th as well. And then you've got Michael Mueller for Riot Motorsports, kind of the separating entity, if you will, between those teams. And so right now, and speaking of Riot Motorsports in general, we don't see a lot of their guys out here tonight. In fact, unless I missed something, I don't remember seeing Andrew Mraz out on the racetrack here tonight. And of course, no Anthony Hanley either. And that just leaves Quentin Clark, who had some trouble getting into the session, it seemed like, but he has been recovering, and he's up to 11th. Don't count out this rookie, who again has 3 wins on the season, but still a lot of work to do as he sets his sights here on Jacob Musso. And then there's Brian Conklin, one of the most consistent veteran drivers you will find in the series. As long as he's not caught up in somebody else's mess, you're going to see Brian Conklin constantly putting down these top 10, top 5 finishes. And that's what got him as deep as he got into the playoffs last season. And it'll do the same again this season. if he can keep it up. All right, so 45 of 120 laps now complete at Gateway. Good time for a quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. Tyler Marble leads at Gateway. We're back to World Wide Technology Raceway, also known as Gateway. 50 laps of 120 complete here tonight for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Up front, it is still the 48 machine of Tyler Marble. Jeff Marble, his teammate, runs second. Austin Fitzgerald back in third. And then Alan Pajari rounding out the blanketed top four, which are all within 1.2 seconds of each other. And when you can see them all still in the same camera view, with this many laps complete in the run, that's something. I mean, I really didn't expect to see this. What we saw with Fitzgerald early, and I kind of expected this to be a runaway for whoever got the lead and got that clean air first, but that's not the case. In fact, almost looks like what you'd see at a Talladega or a Daytona with the different packs that we've got set up here. Jeff Shutt to the inside of Ty Iopolito. That is, right now at least, the battle for that fifth position. Iopolito trying to hold him off on the outside. I don't think he's going to have any luck at it here, though. Jeff Shutt rolling nice and smooth around the bottom. The 19, though, gets the momentum. He's got a little bit of drafting help as well, and if you're wondering if the draft matters here, it does, but again, it's very minimal. It's similar to what we would see at, a track like Iowa, maybe Richmond, although I don't know if they get it there where, you get above 130, 40 miles an hour, you're going to catch a little bit of a draft, but of course, the faster you go and the longer you go down a straight, the more draft you're going to get, or rather, the more it's going to affect your car and getting that tow, but the straights here, by the time they get up to the... contact out back. Conklin and Powers get into the safer barrier. Finishing off on that point, it's, again, the straights here, by the time you're past 130, 150, you're getting kind of close to the end of the corner, so, it's not too big, but, that was a lock up there from Conklin, but did he have trouble before that, or does he just get into the corner here a little bit too hot? He just gets in the corner too hot, and he realizes it pretty quickly there, but you see that car doesn't even really turn for him here. I think he was He was just trying to get too much at once. As there's the contact, and there's the contact to the outside wall. But no harm, no foul for either of these guys. That was the onboard view for Tracy Powers, by the way. So as we go back live, Tracy was able to get that position from Conklin, as he now has the 20 car of Ryan Shearer running just behind him. And then there's the 2 machine of Sean Kaltenbach. Car looking a little bit blank so far this season, as of course doesn't have the Team Watson Racing sponsor on the hood anymore, but nonetheless for Sean Kaltenbach, may not have any teammates, but came out firing last week. He's looking to see if he can top it here tonight. He's got a good top 12 performance going, but another driver who we saw a strong performance out of last season. Didn't see him around much so far this season, but burst his way onto the scene again last week, and here he is again tonight. So if we start seeing the 2 consistently again, I don't think it'll be too long before he's able to find victory lane again. Danny Gutierrez, maybe the longest winless streak for a driver since I have started broadcasting, as again, he was the first winner at Daytona and hasn't got a win since. So at least in that category, I think he leads, but he's came close a couple times. Things have not quite worked out. And then just in front of him there, that's the 64 of Glenn Grigsby. That's not for position, but Glenn, one of the independent drivers, or rather was one of the independent drivers this season, working with SWM Motorsports, and it certainly helped his performance and running throughout the season. Now a little bit of bad luck here tonight with getting involved in that incident, and you know, he's got to be, yeah, there you go, 11 laps down. So while the 64 isn't going to be able to really make much out of tonight, still getting some experience out here racing with the teammates, having a good time, and sometimes that's just what it's all about. Tyler Marble still leads almost by a second at this point. Jeff Marble still in second, but Austin Fitzgerald has not fallen off the back bumper of that 15, at least not too far yet. Now we talk about how the passing is going to get harder and harder here, and I wonder at a certain point, not in this case necessarily, but if you've got a guy and you're both running the same groove, you can't go anywhere else to get by, do you think about using the chrome horn here? 3 and 4, it's a no, you just can't do it, and also that's a good corner to set up a pass for turn 1, but when you actually get into 1 and 2, if you can't make anything work there, that would be the corner. You know, you get under 100 miles an hour, slow enough to give a guy a little shot in the bumper and not wreck him, but just send him up the groove. And the bump and run, I don't care what anyone says, it's an art. It's got to be perfected, but just curious to see if anybody would maybe consider trying that tonight if it comes down to a scenario such as Fitzgerald and Jeff Marble are in right now, where I think Fitzgerald might be a bit faster, but we always say it, you know, being faster than a guy and tracking him down versus passing him, it's 2 completely different things. And right now, Austin Fitzgerald is struggling with the latter of those 2. Looks like he's taking a bit of a bigger diamond there. He's trying to arc it down a little bit further than Jeff here so he can get a run off the corner, but he's not able to do it that time. Saw the 74 jumping around a little bit on exit. He got a little bit loose. Got to be careful here. Don't want to burn these rear tires up, and we still got quite a ways to go in this run right here. Trying it again there. Yeah, you hear him really sliding around in the wake of that 15 car. And getting reports here that Wetzer Jr. may have had an issue here, and it looks like something's amiss for that 12 car as he came to a stop after going in the grass here, I assume. But what exactly was the issue here? Just cockpit view as he gets down onto that. Oh, I don't know if, I mean, obviously he was trying to make a pit stop. Not sure the exact reason why, but as he gets onto that access road there, he just gets into the grass, and real easy to do. It's a tricky pit road here, entrance and exit. So that's what led to that issue right there. And then right there, kind of an interesting sound. Almost sounds like he has a pit limiter on. The way that car's kind of sputtering on the rev limit there for pit speed. But then I think he was able to get it sorted out, so we'll go back live where it looks like, yep, worked his way back out of the pits. Any damage that he might have had, it's fixed up. But again, unfortunately, as a result, for just about anyone, when you decide to make a pit stop here, unless you're in second place or somewhere in the top 10 and you're taking just a splash of fuel, you're going to be going a lap down. And that's where you get worried. You don't want to have a caution while you're stuck a lap down. It's the easiest way to get trapped a lap down. And speaking of, there you go, Wetzer Jr. has fallen a lap down due to that pit stop. So 61 laps complete as we go back to this battle for second place between Jeff Marble and Austin Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald continues to try some different things here. This time tries to get much higher into the corner. I think that time he got a little bit too high. Maybe blew the corner a little bit. As he gets back down, that'll allow Marble to pull away yet again. So this is why restarts are important too. In Jeff Marble's case, I just said that I think Fitzgerald's better, but with him not getting by, that's how much it meant for Jeff Marble to get that position. Well, the restart is, I'll tell you what, it looked like Jeff was certainly pitching Fitzgerald there. Now, granted, Fitzgerald I don't think was going to be able to hold the throttle down there anyway, but got to be careful there. Don't want to get a guy upset this early on in the race, but point being that, you know, Jeff, he got that position early on in the restart, and now when it's that maybe his car isn't quite as good as some of the guys behind him, doesn't matter because it's so hard to pass here that by him getting that spot early, it allows him to maintain it here late. So Fitzgerald continuing to try something new. You can see both of these cars continue to work further and further up the racetrack on both ends, but it does look like maybe Jeff's is struggling a little bit more here as Fitzgerald has, you know, he tracks him down, makes a mistake, tracks him down, makes a mistake. Sooner or later here, he's got to make the right move. Or Jeff Marble, maybe he makes a mistake, although I doubt it. Jeff, not one of the guys to just slip up easy. As we'll go back to the onboard view here for Jeff Marble and look out of the gearbox cam. Now watch how much deeper into the braking zone Fitzgerald can get. Not so much here in 3 and 4, though. You see how much better he rolls the middle. As a result, though, Jeff Marble able to get a little bit of a better exit. But watch down here in 1 and 2, how much better the 74 is on entry and especially into the middle portions of the corner. As there you go, Fitzgerald's able to get on the brakes a little bit later, and then right here, rolls right up to the back bumper, gets in a little bit of that dirty air. And then now it's all about who can arc it down quickest. Jeff Marble able to beat him off yet again through that corner. Austin Fitzgerald there, and there's Alan Pajari back in 4th. Ty Iopolito holding on to a top 5. And Quentin Clark back in 6th. He continues to move his way through the field as right now he is being scored up 25 positions from where he started this race at. Jacob Musso back in 7th. Jeff Shutt in 8th. Ryan Shiro 9th. And Tracy Powers in the 25 car currently rounding out your top 10. He's looking for a little bit more here. He can make a dive to the inside. Nothing doing there. Jake Hickson back in 12th. Danny Gutierrez in 13th. And you've got Brian Conklin who has fallen back to 16th after that contact between him and Tracy Powers. And then here's Cody Matthews and Andrew Russo going at it. Cody Matthews looking for a bit of a dive down through 1. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. The 10 gets a little bit loose under, but now the 88 slips up as well. Drag race off the corner is going to go to the 88. That's now the 13 of Nick Sitchie. He's trying to get in on this mix. Problem is that is not for position. He is a lap down. And then Sean Kaltenbach. What happened here? Was this a pit stop, or did he have potentially an issue here? I think this was a scheduled stop. I'll tell you what, I think we're seeing maybe some of the first guys come in here, although definitely seems a bit early. You know, I wonder if it's maybe tire strategy based off the tire, where it certainly shouldn't be a concern for fuel, as that was Sean Kaltenbach and this was Michael Mueller. He made his stop, and then just now Brandon Saylor makes his as well. So pit stops the trend's definitely starting here, at least for a couple drivers. We'll see how quick everybody else is to follow. And if you're the leader, Tyler Marble, and you got this big of a lead, you got to decide what pit strategy are you going to go with. Most likely, I think, you know, he would go in last of everybody in terms of, you know, that way he can play offense. But if he feels like he needs to go in either a little bit sooner than everybody else, or maybe the same lap as either Austin Fitzgerald or Jeff Marble, that could work too. As here's Brandon Saylor working his way out. And then at the flip side of that, if you're Jeff Marble or Austin Fitzgerald, maybe you're trying a little pitch strategy here to try to catch that 48 off guard. And with what we've seen Jeff Marble be able to do here on Austin Fitzgerald so far this run, I wouldn't say it's a bad idea to maybe, you know, pit early if you're one of these two, try to get in front of one or not both of the others, and then do exactly what Jeff Marble's done so far here, and that is hold him off, with it just being that hard to pass here, even if you got a better car. Going to be 70 laps complete as they cross the stripe. That gives us 51 to go. as we are well over the halfway portion of this race. Oh, Jeffrey Souza, trouble. No caution here, but trouble for the 96 as he is off for a detour, and that is big damage to the front end of his Dark Horse Mustang. He hit the inside wall here, I'm thinking, and that is going to be, again, kind of a competitive... Well, he hit something else first. To get all that... I mean, where did he get that much damage here? We're going to go back to manual way, because I'm really curious about this here. And that is a ton of damage here. Car looks clean. Well, I wonder if this went back to that contact that he had. There was a couple times here where he had contact, so we're going to look at a couple of them here, but got really bad there towards the end. So there you see the right side's a little scraped up. This is going to be the first area that he gets some contact at. Speed it up here so we can go through a couple of these. Is it off of turn 2? Yes, it is. All right, so that explains the first scuff. But he's going to get a couple more here, and they're going to get significantly worse. There's a second one. The question is, what happened on this one right here? Was this off of 2? Yep, so that was the incident between him and Scott Glasso. That was that second hit, and then it gets even worse here by the time it's all said and done. And there... All right, so right there, it's almost like every lap he kept hitting something. I'm not sure what it was, but the point is, for Jeffrey Souza, definitely some major damage in his car that he has accumulated over the run. And so, tough break for the 96. Up front, though, still no pit stops for your leaders just yet. But actually, further back, and 4, I guess I should say, a couple of at least your top 5, we do have them. Quentin Clark, Alan Pajari, and Jeff Shutt, all making their way into the pits. And by the way, 72 to go. I'm not 100% sure if these guys will go all the way from here or not. You know, again, just under 50 laps. Fuel should be fine. Tires is where it gets a little tricky. So we'll see if everybody's able to maintain and manage those tires to that point. All right, so you've got some of the guys in the top 5 trying the early strategy. How is Tyler Marble going to react to this? Same deal for Jeff Marble and Austin Fitzgerald, who, by the way, looks like made his stop as Ty Iopolito, the other rookie, or one of the rookies, rather, for Dynamic Autosports. He makes his stop. This is a good time to take a look at the difference in lap times here, as this will be Fitzgerald's first lap under full speed right here. And so notice, well, just for him, the last couple laps, so you see a 36.429, but we're going to compare his first lap right here to the leader, Tyler Marble, who continues to stay out for now. So he'll have a greater tire advantage at the end of next run, but certainly going to be hurting him here at the start of this next run, as he's going to have a lot of ground to make up. But there you go. For Austin Fitzgerald, looks like he's going to put down a 34.997. Again, you compare that to your leader, Tyler Marble, who's actually just now made his pit stop. And he ran a 36.347 that last lap. So that's, that's about a second and a half. It's, about 5/10 short or so of 2 seconds worth of fall off. That's a notable amount. So shouldn't be too shocked to see Tyler going in now. Maybe realize that the time that he was going to lose felt like it's obviously not worth it to lose that much. So as he makes his exit here, you wonder, did Jeff Marble pull the same strategy? I believe he did, as there goes the 48 and there goes the 15. So don't know that either one of them necessarily gained through the pits, but I do think that Austin Fitzgerald made that gain as a result of pitting earlier. Tyler, though, he didn't come out that far behind here, so I think the 48 will track him down again pretty quickly. See how quickly he can make that move. By the way, the 73, Kenneth Bartholomew, see a little bit of damage there on the left front that he sustained earlier during that caution due to a technical issue with the wheel. Jerked that car into the inside wall. And Tyler Marble with a big move to the inside. Has got a couple more pit stops still going on. Looks like this one's going to bring in a whole bunch. Tracy Powers, Jacob Musso, Thomas O'Hara, Jake Hickson, Andrew Russo, all making stops here. As Caleb Patton, the rookie, going to get his first laps of the season, led right here. 5 seconds in front of Austin Fitzgerald. I don't know what strategy he's got going on. Clearly not one that's set up to win, at least not without a caution here soon, because he's only 4 seconds ahead of Fitzgerald, and he's got a pit soon. So I like what the 32's doing, though. Again, if there's ever a race where you feel like you don't have a car that's, worth really anything, you can't get anything going with it, this is what you do. You just get up there, get a couple laps led, build that confidence. It may not matter in this race, but it could certainly matter in another one. So nice job there by the 32 of Caleb Patton so far. Just getting a couple laps led, getting a feel for it out front here. As in the chat, Joe Williamson said, let's go Danny G earlier. Forgot to read that, but absolutely. Danny Gutierrez right now back in that 19th position, up 8 from where he started. And Caleb Patton, as he stands, by the way, is up 20 from where he started. Kenneth Bartholomew up 18. But realistically, once these stops all cycle out, your two biggest movers inside the top 10 is going to be Quentin Clark, who's up 23 right now. Positions from where he started, going to be 24 here as he crosses over Kaltenbach. And then Ty Iopolito, who is up 10 positions from where he started as well. There goes Quentin Clark by there, no issues. Overtaken the 2 of Sean Kaltenbach. So as he takes that spot, he'll now set his sights on the 73 of Kenneth Bartholomew. And then he'll look ahead to the 99 of Michael Mueller. Fitzgerald continues to lead, but this is what we were expecting. This is what we were waiting on, and here you go. 48 of Tyler Marble, he's close. He is close, looking to make that move right here. Let's go to the onboard view. And, you know, Tyler, I mean, this is the catbird seat. This is every racer's dream right here, is to have tires this much fresher in a car that's a little bit faster, to where, I mean, he's just holding Fitzgerald on his heels. And, oh, the 48 gets the 74 loose right there on exit. Just as I was getting ready to say that if you're Tyler, you can afford to be as patient as you want here. I mean, you know, you're going to have enough to get by the 74 here, but what you don't want to do is accidentally spark up an accident. As good acceleration for Austin Fitzgerald that time. Andrew Russo, some trouble now as he got into the grass there off of turn 2. See what happened here to the 88. I think he just gets a little bit loose. Yep, sure enough. And so watch the car start to go around, tries to save it. There it goes. Just a little bit of a ride through the grass. Does a good job locking it up right there so that he can straighten it out and save the car. Nicely done, Andrew. And back up front we go to this battle. Tyler Marble, there you go. He's got to the inside here. Not going to be able to do it, though. He fades back, actually, as they get into turn number 1. Fitzgerald coming off the win last week. And then if, you know, you look at the other side, Tyler Marble, what a win would mean to him right now. With, again, the bad luck, we talked about it earlier, that he has had over the last multiple weeks. And Fitzgerald certainly would like to build with another win this season, make it either his 3rd or 4th. But Tyler Marble, I don't think he's going to let that happen. Now, I will say for Fitzgerald here, this is big. This is really important what he's doing right now, because every lap that he holds that 48 off, the harder it's going to be for Tyler to get around. And even when he does get around, that's less and less time that Tyler Marble is able to pull on Austin Fitzgerald before another pit stop. Of course, that is if there were to be another one. Now, if these guys are going to stay out the rest of the way, then again, I completely would go back to the point of, if you're Tyler Marble, just take it easy here. No rush. You know you'll have better tires than him. Just don't overuse him here trying to get around him. But he wants it. He wants it. And he's starting to get a little bit more and more greedy here each and every lap with how close he's getting to the rear bumper of that 74. Mentioned, would the bump and run be an option? At 48, will he give it a thought here in a little bit if he's not able to get around here on the inside? And you got to give Austin Fitzgerald some props here in the sense of he really has kind of been the only driver so far tonight that's been able to hold off anybody really on that outside line. And he wasn't able to do it earlier, but right now on slightly older tires, he's making it work. There it is. Tyler Marble's going to get into the back of the 74 just a little bit, trying to get to that quarter panel. Can't do it. Fitzgerald leads yet another one. And boy, we got to go to the cockpit view again here for Tyler Marble. This is getting aggressive. I didn't think we'd see racing quite like this here, but here we go. Tyler keeps looking. Fitzgerald is giving him just enough room to call a lane, but not enough room for him to make a move. And there's the onboard view. Something's going to have to give here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to have to. This frustration can only last for so long. That might have been the move. Nope, not quite going to happen. Tyler tried to dive it in, use that lap car as a pick. It's in front, but oh, that time they both slip up. Tyler's got to run here. He's going to look to the inside. Fitzgerald slipped. He's got the side draft. He's going to have to send it off here into the corner. Fitzgerald still on his outside. Here we go. Can he make it stick? That's the big question. Looks out the right rear. Sees Fitzgerald with another run. Fitzgerald, though, if he can't get clear, Tyler's trying to hold the side draft. Fitzgerald's got to get clear. He doesn't. Cody Matthews is going to hold it up, and that will end the battle for the lead as, oh, now Tyler's getting up the racetrack a little bit. Gets around Fitzgerald. Will Fitzgerald maybe give him a little bit of bumper back? No, he's going to look to the inside, though. No run doing there as... man, I know Cody Matthews not doing anything wrong there, but that really kind of hindered what was a great battle there. I'm sure Fitzgerald maybe a little bit annoyed with what took place there, but a smart move by Tyler to set it up to use that lap car as a pick. Now that Tyler has taken the lead, the big question is what's he going to do with it here? Is he going to sail away with it? Or does that 74 maybe have something left that can get himself back to the 48? One thing I'll definitely say, though, is if there is another pit stop expected for these guys, I think you're going to see Tyler maybe going a bit sooner than he did that time. I mean, again, you know, if there's no lap car kind of acting as a pick there, who knows how many more laps before he gets around Austin Fitzgerald, and you don't want that if we're coming to the end of the race in terms of having to stress about getting around a guy and you just can't seem to find a way to do it. So a good move by Tyler here, and we'll see how this affects his strategy later. But how about Jeff Marble? I mean, held off Austin Fitzgerald all those laps, but out of the pit stop, came out third, and since then sits there about 4.5 seconds behind the leaders. Quentin Clark up to fourth now, but still almost 10 seconds back. I think that if we get a caution, Clark might have something for the leaders, but at this point, without a caution, I just don't know if he's going to have enough time with the deficit that big. Fitzgerald's still hanging relatively close in the wake here. He's not just letting him go, but I don't know if he's got enough speed to quite get all the way back to the 48, much less try to make a move. But again, just minimize the damage here. Slow the bleeding if you can. Just stay as close as you can to that 48, either until the next pit stop, or hopefully, in this case, if these guys need to, just until the end of the race. As you see Fitzgerald, he's able to still get into the braking zone a lot deeper, but you wonder if that's also wearing those front tires out a lot more than the 48 is by taking it a little bit more conservative. And there's some contact to the outside wall for Fitzgerald, but nothing that hasn't been happening to everybody all night. Oh, caution's out. That is not what Tyler Marble wanted to see. There's the reaction. And man, oh man, you knew that was coming. At some point, whenever you got a race led, you feel like you got the strategy panned out. That is exactly how it goes, and it looks like the trouble may have been with the Nerf machine of Ryan Shiro. And so it's the third caution of the night, comes out with 30 laps to go. And oh boy, is this going to make strategy interesting and the racing aggressive. All right, here we go. Let's go back and see what happened to the 20 here. You see he's already sideways at this point. What gets him out of shape? Does he get a little help here? Coming off of turn 4. Slow this down here and go to the blimp cam. Yeah, there's definitely some help, but I didn't see from that first angle how he gets the help here. Oh, I think he's just tied up the racetrack, and then that's exactly what it is. The 20, he's way out of the groove at this point. Up the racetrack. The 95 of Jacob Musso is washing up as well. I think the 95, I saw fire out of the pipes. I couldn't tell if that was from the 95 or somebody else. Let's see here. Yeah, no, so I think that, Jacob Musso just wasn't expecting the 20 to be, up the groove that much and getting into the wall. But once he did, that's like a brick wall. The 20 just loses a ton of speed, and the 95 running as close as he is, as he washes up, just doesn't have enough time to react to slow down here. Let's watch the cockpit view. Yeah, he's not expecting the 20 there to get into the wall, so he's saying the 20 will have a run off. He'll get clear behind, but as the 20 gets tight there and gets into the wall, it leaves just, again, really no time for reaction there, and leads to a one-car deal with just Ryan Shiro. We'll take a couple more angles of this, see what kind of damage he sustained here. There's the hit. Looks like a tank slapper to the left side, so all the damage should be sustained, again, to that left side suspension. Be a little bit of aero damage, but he's got to just hope that he didn't break anything in the toe, as that's where you can get yourself in the most trouble, and it looks like he may unfortunately have, as that thing looks to be pretty crooked there going down the straightaway. Let's look at this from a couple more angles. This was from TV2 coming towards the pits. Let's just hit right there. Boom. That is concrete on the inside too, so it's not very forgiving. It certainly does its fair share of damage to these race cars, and did a whole bunch right there to the 20 of Shiro. Here's an alternate view from some of the pit cams. So as we go back live now, get ready for a restart that is again going to be with just under 30 to go, just over 25 to go. It is Ty Iopolito now being scored as your leader, and that means we had some strategy at play. Let's go back and show you what just transpired here with some of the pit entries, who decided to go in and who didn't. So here we go. Tyler Marble let him in. Let's watch all the guys that go in here versus the ones that decided to stay out. If anybody stayed out, it may have just been some 2 tires versus no tires, so on and so forth. Nope, definitely had some guys stay out here. So some of those are wave arounds, as there's some contact there as well. Saw Tyler Marble lead him in though, and then that is Ty Iopolito. Looks like, yep, indeed choosing to stay out. So they have some strategy that we're not aware of. Is there's a couple of them. Actually, I think Ty's the only one that stayed out, as a matter of fact. And so he's up 18 positions from where he started right now. Austin Fitzgerald being scored in 2nd. Tyler Marble back in 3rd. Jeff Marble 4th. Quentin Clark in 5th. Michael Mueller 6th. Sean Kaltenbach 7th. Jeff Shutt 8th. Brian Conklin in 9th. And Johnny McCulchuk rounds out your top 10. See if we get the 1 to go signal this time. And waiting to see if the wave rounds go out. Looks like sure enough we do. So that means we'll go back racing here with 94 laps complete. And so that will give us 27 laps to go here at the Arch State. Boy, what? I'll tell you what, this race certainly blew my expectations away in terms of some of the battles we've seen, especially at the front of the field. I mean, there's been traffic out back, but for some of these leaders to be staying as close as they were for as long as they were through some of these runs. I mean, Tyler Marble and Austin Fitzgerald and Jeff Marble. Pajari was in the mix at one point. It's been a ton of fun so far, and I think it's getting ready to get all the more fun because, again, 27 laps to go. Fresh set of sticker for everybody but the leader. And looking at tires that they've taken out, by the way, I think this is the last set for everybody except potentially Ty. They took one on the pit stop, one on the early caution, and then took one right here. So here we go. No tires for the inside of the front row. And Tyler Marble's going to have to get very aggressive right here if he wants that position. Green flag back in the air. 27 laps to go at Gateway. No move yet from that 48. Content to stay tucked in line here as they dive down into turn 1. There goes Fitzgerald. Austin Fitzgerald able to pull out to an early lead. Tyler Marble on the inside. Watch out. This gets tricky. 3 wide off of turn 2. Oh, contact into the outside wall goes Jeff Marble. He's able to hang on as Ty Iopolito slips to 2nd. Marble still to the inside here. Looking to get clear. He needs to, and he does. Tyler Marble able to get clear of that 19 midway through 3 and 4, and now he's going to set his sights back on the man that he got in front of. But now they're on even tires, so it's going to be interesting to see. Everybody shuffling in line the further back we go, as there's the gap separating 1 and 2. Right now it's about half a second, 5 car lengths if you will. 5/10 of a second, excuse me. And so he's got 25 laps when we cross the line this next time to make it happen. But can Fitzgerald hold on here? Again, we saw how much better Tyler was when they were on different tire strategies, but man, I know Tyler's probably kicking himself right now. Just, I'm not really sure, in fact, how they got flipped on the pits. You know, once in a while that can happen, but it's usually pretty unlikely, especially with Tyler Marble going in as the leader. But whatever the case was, certainly they got flipped, so that advantage may have been all that Austin Fitzgerald needed, as I think Tyler's overdoing it just a little bit right now as you see him start to slip. Watch the real-life cockpit here as he continues to push this car just about as hard as he can get it to go right now. And he's getting loose here. You can see the frustration starting to set in a little bit. We talked about it. We saw it with Fitzgerald too earlier, though, that when you get past, you lose that rhythm, that zone that you were in for so long. And so now he's just got to try to find a way to get back in. And now at the same time here, who knows, maybe Fitzgerald is wearing his stuff out more than we're expecting. But Austin, one of the veterans, he knows best of anybody here how to find a way to keep the lead while maintaining his stuff and having something for the end if he needs it. With just 24 laps to go. We are certainly starting to near the end of this one, but further back, still 2x2. Oh, smoking around, they're going to go. This is going to be a big one. 3 into the wall. Jared Bundy's in it. Looked like that might have been Brian Conklin. Ryan Shiro's going to sneak by. Johnny McCulchuk's involved. The bad day for Jared Bundy gets worse. That caution this time, though, might have been a lifesaver for Tyler Marble. I don't know how things were looking there with the gap between them, but now let's put that 48 back on the front row, and wonder if this is maybe big news for Ty Iopolito. I'm trying to see how far back he fell. Looks like he's being scored 10th for the moment, as we'll see if he goes in and maybe takes his last tire set. But let's go back here and see what sparks this one up. As again, this started with Jared Bundy coming out of turn number 4. Watch the 3 here. We're going to go to the chopper view. Actually, I think it starts in front with Johnny McCulchuk. See Johnny getting up the racetrack a little bit. Is Jared going to try to take that gap? Yes, he is. And just slight contact there to the left rear. Gets Johnny McCulchuk loose, and round he goes. That was Kyle Oakley, by the way, on the outside in that pink, black, and white 17 car. But yeah, that just looked like maybe a little bit too eager for Jared Bundy there. As he saw a gap, but the problem is it wasn't quite there here as he turns the car down. I'm not sure if the 72 was a little bit loose, but I mean, as he's going for this gap right here, you can see there's just really not much room there. But he's going to try to take it here. And just that slight misjudgment as he unfortunately clips the left rear there of Johnny McCulchuk. And now Johnny's just going to be along for the ride right here, as you see Jared Bundy not going to be able to save it. They're both going to go into the outside wall here. But the 3 gets the bigger of this one as Oakley had nowhere to go. Piles in to the right front for Jared Bundy. Take a couple more views of this one real quick. It's a tough break for Kyle Oakley too, who is really just an innocent bystander in this one. Not really doing much, just cruising along here, and sneaks by Johnny McCulchuk without really much, if any, damage, but then wasn't quite able to sneak by Jared Bundy here, as we'll go to the TV2 cam. There's the 3 as he slides back up. And boom, in the distance there. There's the hit. I think that broke the right front suspension for Jared Bundy as well. And man, a couple people did a really good job sneaking by there at the end. That got really, really dicey. Nonetheless, though, as we go back up front, this will put us in a restart with under 20 to go. And while we get a chance, it's going to take one more quick break. We'll have an update on what Ty Iopolito did when we come back. Stick with us for the restart at Gateway. Back live at World Wide Technology Raceway for potentially the final restart. Green flag back in the air. The battle between Tyler Marble and Austin Fitzgerald, and now potentially, guess who else? Quentin Clark, who slides himself into that third position, maybe looking for third, maybe looking for second, but Jeff Marble with a run off of 2 is going to take that, as Tyler Marble was able to tuck in line and stay pretty close to the 74 this time, but he can't let him sneak away here. Again, 18 laps to go. We're running out of time in this thing here. If he can keep him close and keep that mirror full, he might have a chance to make the 74 slip up. It only takes one mistake. Problem is that 74 has been on rails the last short run that we had, so I don't know here as you see the gap starting to extend a little bit yet again. We got 3, almost 4 wide further back. Oh, reckon. One around, up into the outside wall. They go. Big hit for Andrew Russo. Multiple cars involved. The 73 of Kenneth Bartholomew's in it. Ryan Shiro. Caleb Patton, he's torn up. Scott Glasso looks like he might have got around. Bartholomew, left front's totaled. Suspension-wise, at least. Can't even see it yet. There you go. And that might have... might have broken it. What is going on here? This thing is, suspension-wise, it's done. I mean, it's not even turning at this point here. He's just going to get out of the way for everybody, but this is just a product of what you get late in these races, especially at certain tracks, this being one of them. Caught my eye as further back. Thought I saw 3 wide. I was correct. And maybe 4 wide. Yeah, that's where it's not going to work, especially when things funnel down into the corners. So here we go. Taio Polito, who, by the way, my apologies, I had forgot to mention in terms of, we talked about that last caution in terms of strategy, who was going to pit, who wasn't. Well, Taio Polito, he pitted. Smart move at that. The problem is, though, now that he had those fresh tires, as he's trying to work his way through the field here, just gets in a little bit of a bad spot. I think he gets in front of this, though. Oh, it's going to be close here. Did he avoid the 10? Just barely. Man, he got lucky to that one. But then Cody Matthews here, as he spins back up the racetrack, there's the big impact for a lot of these cars. Show you this from a little bit of a different angle here. It's a little tough spot to see in terms of our camera angles, but it's just, I'll tell you exactly what it is here. And watch this from the chopper view again at full speed, and that'll show you everything you need. Cody Matthews, he knows they're 4 wide here, and he says, I don't think so. That's not going to work well. Smartly enough, but Ryan Shiro, he's not necessarily expecting that checkup to happen from the 10. So when it does, he sees it. He's not going to be able to break it time, so he tries to dive low here, but just not quite able to get low enough in time. So that's just hard racing at the end. I mean, not really anything anybody necessarily did wrong. And it really is unfortunate for Cody Matthews because he was trying to put himself out of a bad situation, and instead he ends up in one anyway. Here's the cockpit view for Matthews, and you'll hear that checkup right here as they go down the straight. And so I'll give you a couple more angles of this here. Again, this is in TV2. And man, when I say how close it was for Taio Polito, we got to watch this view. Watch this. I mean, it doesn't get closer than that. In fact, at full speed, man, that was so close to Taio Polito getting involved in that wreck, but instead he's able to miss it. It's a big hit, though, for Andrew Russo. That's going to end his night for sure, potentially along with Cody Matthews and Ryan Shiro. And these guys had all been having decent runs in the mid-teens, but just a little bit too much aggression. And then there's Kenneth Bartholomew getting down the track and into the 32. That's how he gets his damage. So we get one more look at this here from TV3. So another multi-car pileup puts us back under caution here with 14 laps to go at Gateway. It's still Austin Fitzgerald out in front, Tyler Marble second, Jeff Marble third, Quentin Clark in fourth, and Jeff Shutt rounds out your top 5. All these guys are under caution. Gives us a brief moment to go look at the upcoming schedule along with the point standings coming into tonight. So leading in points coming into Gateway here was Jeff Marble, followed by Austin Fitzgerald, Taio Polito in third, Quentin Clark fourth, Tyler Marble in fifth, Kyle Oakley in sixth, Michael Mueller back in seventh with Jared Bundy eighth, Jake Hickson in ninth, and Kenneth Bartholomew still hanging strong inside your top 10. As for the upcoming schedule, next week going to head to a road course. It's Sonoma. After that, we'll go to the Corn State, Iowa. Following that is New Hampshire, and that will kind of, to a degree, end out the short track, or the road course. Well, the road course doesn't count, but kind of what's felt like the short track, maybe. I'll just say it's certainly my least favorite portion of the season. A lot of these tracks I'm not a fan of. Sonoma, not really too big of a fan of, although I'm sure Tyler Marble is. Got the win there last season. Iowa's not too bad. New Hampshire, I know it's a fun track to race. In terms of watching, not a fan at all. Nashville, that's going to be an exciting one. Chicagoland, that'll be a good one. Pocono, and then the next one that I've got circled, and I'm sure a lot of these drivers do, is Indianapolis for the return of the Brickyard, the oval, not the road course. So excited for that. And then, of course, we'll have a couple off weeks for the Olympics, and we will make our return at Richmond later on in July. Or excuse me, I believe, is that July? Nope, that's actually going to be into August. So nonetheless, before we get to that, let's go back live here as these guys are getting ready for what could potentially this time be the final restart. And Tyler's had a couple chances here to try some things. You wonder, what's he going to do different this time? Because whatever he's been trying so far has not been working. All right, here we go. Rolling into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. 12 laps to go at Gateway. Looking to dive to the inside here. Austin Fitzgerald. Can he get clear of the 48? He's been able to do it twice already. He'll do it again. Tyler Marble looking for a crossover. Nothing to do it. He gets tied off at 2-1 in the wall out back, but they save it. Now 3 wide here. Danny Gutierrez in a very vulnerable position here as they're going to go into turn number 3. Alamajari with the dive to the inside. Can they all hold it together? Starting to work up the track a little bit. They stay clean through the first lap here on the restart. Never mind, we got a spinner out back. That'll bring the caution out yet again. At least I thought it would. Maybe not. Did he straighten it out? He did. Who was that? Was that Caleb Patton? I couldn't tell exactly who that was. Kenneth Bart. I could not tell. Was that Alan Pajari? That's who it was. It was Alan Pajari. Went for a slide there off of 4, but he saved it. So we do stay green. And we'll go right back up front. The battle for the lead, it's on, and it is getting intense. Tyler Marble still sticking close. You wonder if he was this close on the last lap, what would he be willing to do? Looking to maybe get to the back bumper, the 74, but he will not be able to do it that time around. Jeff Marble hanging on to 3rd, Quentin Clark 4th. And Jeff Shutt looking for a phenomenal run tonight. He still sits in 5th. Tyler downshifted big. He is using this car up right now. This is a late short run, and this is where you push the car for all it's worth, and you hope that you can find a way around before you use your stuff up. That's exactly what he's trying to do right now here. Looking to the outside. Can he make a dive back to the inside? Looking for a crossover. He's got to get to him here. Maybe loosen him up. No, not going to be able to do it. He's getting loose. Fitzgerald going for it. Tyler Marble going for it. This is one of the best races that we have had all season for your top 2. Fitzgerald defending, and I think now, maybe not the other 2 runs, but definitely this run, Fitzgerald he's feeling the pressure from Tyler Marble here a little bit. That 48 has found something. He has gotten back into that zone, and the 74 is starting to see a mirror full of Tyler Marble here with 8.5 laps to go. Tyler tried something different that time, got up a little bit earlier in the corner. Let's see if he can arc it down on exit right here. Austin gets another good exit, though. The 48 not quite able to get the run, but I'm telling you, if he can stay this close for the next 7 laps on that white flag, I think it's fair game to give him a little shot, but he may not have to. He gets to the inside. Oh, can't quite make it stick. Tyler slips up just a little bit, and he's going to have to funnel back in line behind the 74. Austin Fitzgerald looking for a move. Does he go to the inside? Yes, he does. The 48 looks for another move. Is he going to give him the bump and run? No. I'll tell you what, earlier it was Fitzgerald who could get into the braking zone better. Now it's Tyler Marble. And I guess I should say, the counter to that is the fact that the 48, I can tell you, he's certainly burning up those front tires. You just wonder how long can they hang on here. Keep pushing it. You keep pushing it. Eventually, you've used up your stuff. Tyler, he's so close, but he just can't quite get the move on him yet. And I don't know what lane you take here if you're the 48. I got to assume the inside if you can get to him, but that's still, again, proven to be a bit of a struggle right here. You see those 2 work their way through 3 and 4. Quick view of the rest of the field as it looks like everybody's gotten pretty single file and stranded out. But up front, they certainly have not. They still stay within about 0.2 of each other here with 6 laps to go. And again, we have got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. And to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked here if Tyler Marble wouldn't like to maybe see one more caution, as now that's that point. This is what you get worried about here, is that maybe he has finally used his stuff up. He was pushing hard, and it was enough to keep with the 74, but as a result, wonder, does he maybe not have anything left for the 74 here? He's starting to get loose. He's pushing it, and the 74 is starting to put the sail up now. Austin Fitzgerald has stretched that gap out to almost half a second now as they go into turn 1 with 5 laps to go. Jeff Marble still hanging on to a pretty comfortable third, but Quentin Clark not going to let him walk away with it. He's looking to make a move himself. Michael Mueller up there. Jeff Shutt fell to 6th, still looking for a good finish for that 27 to 16 in the top 10, along with the 07 Brian Conklin. And then there's Ty Iopolito on the fresher tire strategy, as it worked out not too bad for him. It looks like it may bring him back to a top 10 finish as well. Austin Fitzgerald now sees 4 laps to go, and at this point, this is where now he can maybe start to not necessarily put it on cruise control yet, but he can certainly start to back down the pace just a little bit here and make sure that he doesn't overwork his stuff or potentially make a mistake trying to push too hard. All right, so the 74 with just 3 laps away, going to be 2 when they cross the stripe this time, from making this race official. And if he can do that, that would add on yet another win on the season for Dynamic Autosports. And Austin Fitzgerald, who I'm sure is going to go down as one of the winningest drivers in FastTrack Cup Series history, with the resume he has already built with this league and continues to build, as now that gap between him and Tyler Marble increases to about 0.8 of a second. And we are just about a lap and a half away now from this race being official. Fitzgerald saying, let it go green. Marble is saying, somebody somewhere have an incident here. Kenneth Bartholomew's going to the pits. Ooh, just saw Andrew Russo. This car's got major damage here. Looks like he's trying to limp it around. I don't know if that's new or not, but again, does not draw the caution. 2 laps to go, less than a mile to go now to make this race official. Fitzgerald down the back stretch, good acceleration off of turn 2. Tyler Marble continues to fade ever so slightly as he's back to about 0.8 of a second. The real battle now in the top 5. Well, really nowhere, as they've all kind of got stranded out. Just maybe a handful of laps too many here in terms of a short run that you could push the car as hard as Tyler Marble was. He came oh so close. Speaking of close, how about 1 lap to go now for Austin Fitzgerald? That's how close he is to yet another win, as you see a couple guys further back here going at it. Nonetheless, up front, Austin Fitzgerald clean through 1 and 2. Looking to do the same thing right here through 3 and 4. Well, he had a good car early, and then looked like the way strategy was going to fall, it wasn't going to fall in his favor. Looked like Tyler Marble was the man. But a string of cautions led to short run battling, and guess who comes out on top? It's the veteran for Dynamic Autosports. Austin Fitzgerald wins it at Gateway. Tyler Marble comes home a heartbreaking 2nd, and Jeff Marble rounds out the podium. It's a great night still for Team Marble iRacing. But man, Tyler Marble not going to be too happy with that one, because he knows how close he came to grabbing a victory, but certainly still a good comeback. And how about, speaking of comebacks, Quentin Clark with the 4th place finish, and Michael Mueller for Riot Motorsports rounding out your top 5. All right, so as he brings it around to celebrate, he is your winner again. Austin Fitzgerald, that is. Tyler Marble finishes 2nd, Jeff Marble 3rd, Quentin Clark in 4th, Michael Mueller 5th, Jeff Shutt in 6th, Jake Hicks in 7th with Thomas O'Hara in 8th, Brian Conklin 9th, and Ty Iopolito rounding out your top 10. Danny Gutierrez in 11th, Jacob Musso 12th, Tracy Powers in 13th with Wes Hurd Jr. in 14th, Mark Sabak back in 15th, Sean Kaltenbach in 16th, Johnny McCulchuk in 17th with Kyle Oakley back in that 18th position. Rounding out your top 20 here tonight is Cody Matthews and Alan Pajari. Scott Glasso 21st, Andrew Russo 22nd. Back in 23rd, Jared Bundy, Kenneth Bartholomew 24th. Brandon Saylor 25th, Glenn Grigsby 26th. Ryan Shiro in 27th, Caleb Patton 28th, Christopher Hull in 29th, and Nick Sitchie rounding out your top 30. Jeffrey Souza finishes in 31st and rounds out your field here tonight. As Fitzgerald continues to celebrate with the backwards lap, saluting all the fans, the virtual fans. We are going to go see if we can pick up your top 3 for some interviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back at Gateway. All right, going to start first here tonight with your 3rd place finisher, Jeff Marble for Team Marble iRacing. Jeff, this is Austin the booth. Got a copy.
Hey, what's up there, man?
Well, a good overall day. You get teammates 2nd and 3rd. You bring home a podium for yourself. Overall, how'd you feel about the car here tonight? And it seemed like throughout the whole race, in fact, short run and long run, you were able to maintain that third place run in speed.
Yeah, I kind of shot myself in the foot there right before the race started. I had made some tweaks to the setup and made her just a little too snug through the center, which made it pretty good made it okay for the exit, where I know some of these guys were like a little ass happy on exit, so I didn't really have that problem too much. So, but I suffered through the center and I got what I got. I got what I deserved, and I mean P3. I mean, I can't, in almost a full field, I can't complain too much.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's already been a pretty good season so far for a couple of the Team Marble iRacing drivers, but including, and more importantly, yourself. And here tonight, when you tack on another 3rd place finish, how does this continue to build the momentum as we head to what looks like a pretty technical portion of racetracks in the season?
Yeah, just got to maintain pace with Austin. He's racking off the wins, and I think I still might be the points leader. I don't know, but I gotta keep pace with him for the regular season championship. But thing is, he's getting wins and he's getting bonus points, and that's what kind of hurts a little bit for the playoffs. But my time's coming. I've been knocking on the door a couple times this year. And what bit Tyler was the late yellows, and that's what bit me earlier in the season, like at Martinsville and some other places. I should have had like 3 wins this year, but it's just the late yellows kind of bit me in the rear, and that's racing. I mean, what are you going to do? It is what it is.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight, to round out the podium finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get everybody this week. I'm going to give another shout out to Capital Auto Group. I'm not sure if I gave them props last week. I was one of them days. So Capital Auto Group, simracerhub.com, Butt Kicker, Ghost Racing Network, you up there in the booth. iRacingIFlag.com, Donnie Adams, X Designs. Oh, the title sponsor, duh. Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists out of Richmond, Virginia. These are the guys that puts monies in everybody's pocket, and that's what kind of keeps our wheels going throughout the season.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Again, congrats on the 3rd place finish. We will see you next week.
All right, thank you, sir. And as always, I appreciate you coming out each and every week. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right, now that'll bring us to your 2nd place finisher here tonight, Tyler Marble. Tyler, this is also up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, you came up just short. Looked like it was your race to win when it was strategy, but then the late cautions change everything back up to short run speed. It looked like you were hanging on there for a little while on that last run. What changed?
The track cooled off, got faster, and the adjustment in the car was for the long run. Pushing so hard, it's just, yeah. Running tight, try to maintain, try to push on exit to 4 to get a run, because I knew I could get him on exit there. That's how I got him before that last Mirage cautions. But yeah, it's just hard racing. You said it, cautions bite me in the rear again. Come so close. I wanted it bad tonight. I thought I was gonna be able to do it. Being in the race, I didn't think I was gonna have anything, but made that adjustment, got the lead off that one restart, sailed away. I was like, okay, my race to lose now, and well, cautions, of course, screw everything up. But at P2, we'll take it after the last couple of weeks, and we'll move on to Sonoma, where I can hopefully defend the win from last year.
Absolutely. So before we let you head out then tonight, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Yes, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist out of Richmond. You for broadcasting, you do an awesome job. Sim Racer Hub, Butt Kicker, DA Design Studio, BMP Capital Auto Group, my teammates, everybody for coming out every week. 31 cars. Awesome for Gateway. Hopefully we can get 30 cars next week, Sonoma. And I think that's everybody. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Yeah, Sonoma next week. Looking forward to it. Hopefully get a dub there. I am hungry.
All right, and thank you, of course, for talking to us. Again, congrats on the second place finish. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and now that brings us to tonight's winner, Austin Fitzgerald for Dynamic Autosports. Austin, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
Hey, got you, Austin.
Well, you tack on another win and you find a way. We always, I always sit up here and say that you're one of the best guys when it comes to long runs, but a lot of times I feel like I don't give you enough props for how you're able to always fend people off when it comes to these short run finishes. And tonight looks like that's exactly what happened there. Kind of break us down initially what you thought was going to happen with the strategy play, and if you felt like maybe those late cautions kind of saved your run there.
Yeah, the late cautions definitely helped. I got a huge lead in the beginning, probably close to a couple second lead. And I was like, yeah, no, if we get a lot of green flag runs here, I really think I could win this. And, we got that first caution. And then I think as that next restart, Tyler got by me. And then Jeff got by me, and I was over driving in a little bit. Then Alan got by me, and I just tried to cool down and then go back at it thinking, no, I could get back by him, no doubt. But I did not realize how bad the dirty air was here. And I was just reminded how hard it is to pass. So I would always just try to get the power down, trying to pass Jeff so I could get to Tyler. And I'd spin the tires, and next thing you know, I was falling back from both of them. And I decided to short pit there, and fortunately came in a few laps before Tyler, and I was able to lay down some qualifying laps, and then get by him ultimately Tyler coming out of pit road. But he got by me eventually on those, few lap newer tires. And, then I thought, okay, no, we're in this for the long game, kind of wait, just see what happens. And then we got that caution. And I thought, I got this first pit stall, and this might be my opportunity. So I just tried to get into that pit stall as smooth and out as smooth as I can. And I was able to come out in front of him. And I think that's ultimately what did it for me. And then just being able to, fend Tyler off for those last few restarts, which was really hard. He was doing that crossover, and he almost had me a couple times. And this track is really hot. It's really slick, and it was a great race with Tyler. I could tell he wants that win so bad. I was just talking to him, but he's going to get it soon. Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, and yeah, I got a little lucky there with those cautions playing in my favor.
And another good, well, not just a good finish, but another win tacked onto the season. At this point, when you've already got this many wins, I kind of asked Jeff this question. Tyler, of course, feels confident about Sonoma next week, but we're in a pretty technical portion of the season. A lot of the tracks we go to, they're tough in their own ways. Do you look to tack on maybe a couple more in this section of the season?
This is definitely my better section, for sure. I love road courses, tracks like, Gateway, New Hampshire, those, wide, flat corners where you have to use a lot of, trail brake, and feather the throttle. Those are the kind of tracks I really like. So yeah, I'm hoping to get a couple more wins in, maybe build up some, bonus points for the playoffs to hopefully make a deep playoff run.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate in Victory Lane, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
As always, thanks to the fam. Shout out to Dynamic Autosports. We just had a great setup this week. I think all the guys ran great today. Yeah, thank you, like always, for the broadcast. Thank everybody for, showing up week in, week out. And yeah, looking forward to Sonoma next week.
Looking forward to see if you can maybe go back to back and tack on yet another win on the season. Well, hey, thanks for talking to us again. Congrats on the win, and we will see you next week.
All right, see you, Austin. Thanks.
All right, that'll wrap up our coverage here tonight. World Wide Technology Raceway. Boy, what a race it was. Certainly helped exceed my expectations with some of the things we saw here tonight. So, again, we will be back next week at Sonoma for some road course action. Make sure you stick around for that. Well, not stick around, but make sure you tune in next week for that. As for tonight, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. Till next time, have a good night.